Glass comes from sand. Steel is extracted from ore. And gravel becomes concrete, which is used to develop cities and nations. Using manufacturing and creating new materials are how we build and reshape our planet. For Jiangxinzhou province in the center of China's east coast, water is a lifeline. When the Nanjing Yangtze River Bridge was built, it became a part of Chinese history. "13 kilometers away, the recently built Nanjing Jiangxinzhou Yangtze River Bridge set a new record. With a main frame stretching for 1,796 meters, it is the longest steel-concrete composite cable-stayed bridge in the world. The massive span means strict load limits had to be set. The bridge had to lose half of its weight to achieve a perfect combination of mechanics and aesthetics. The new material weighs 2.65 kilos and is now being tested to determine its maximum bearing capacity. The engineers are challenging the impossible to find out exactly how much weight the bridge needs to shed.
这个分布的非常均匀，很密集，很均匀。再看一下我们这个情况，力值是2030千牛，相当于就是200吨。我们一辆普通汽车的话，大概4吨，一共就是50辆汽车的重量，已经完全超出我们的一个预期了。
给我停，给我停！好。
Behind every engineering feat is a concrete processing factory just like this one. Over 100 years ago, the invention of concrete led to a worldwide revolution in construction materials. This was followed by a boom in infrastructure, which was considered an indicator of a country's development. Today, concrete is the driving force behind China's construction surge, and that, in turn, gave rise to a new type of concrete material.
332.8，哎，好，再来一点，再来一点，好。
Reactive powder, steel fiber, fine sand, gravel, and other materials. The R&D staff have found the exact ratio needed to reduce the bridge's weight.
大于10的，一定要给它筛掉，9.5是吧？
Countless experiments later, a new type of material is born. This coarse aggregate reactive powder concrete costs half as much as traditional high-performance concrete. It also has a constructive compressive strength that's 2.5 times greater than that of regular concrete.
又弯曲又有这个螺旋的，让这种各种形状的钢纤维像拉链一样的把我们的这个整个一块墙面板形成一个很强大的一个整体。
A prefabricated section of bridge deck 11.3 meters long and 6.9 meters wide is produced using the new aggregate reactive powder concrete. After being preserved in water for 15 days, it will be left to dry. Compared with traditional concrete bridge decks of the same size, each section of this new type deck weighs only 45 tons as opposed to 70, and its thickness has been reduced from 28 centimetres to 17 centimetres. The sections will be gathered, connected and spread out to build a passage to the future. This is a new beginning. 494 sections of the new material deck are hidden between the steel box beam and the asphalt road. Stronger materials enable greater capacity. In this case, it means the bridge can be made lighter by a staggering 15,000 tons, 40% of its original weight. The now much more slender Jiangxinzhou Yangtze River Bridge is about to undergo a bearing capacity test, a kind of birth checkup.
两车道是布到了，
就是不算应急车道，距应急车道那个线是50公分。
我们混凝土就是下缘，不是测那个应变哪一块是最需要控制的地方？
一个是横隔板之间，一个是横隔板顶部。吊梁的时候，
对，
一段梁400多吨，我都吊上来了。你说整个梁它的变形啊，它的各方面都是跟监控是很吻合的，那就说明这个结构是没有问题。
Like the builders, the new material has been tested hundreds of times. This final exam will produce the ultimate answer.
新材料用于这种组合结构桥梁当中呢，在世界上还是第一次，包括所有的这个工艺，全部都是没有任何经验的，全部都是从零开始。
The first thing you see above your head after entering the box beam are sections of deck made of the new material. 244 stress points will enable us to see instant changes when stress is applied to the bridge during the bearing capacity test. Every tiny detail regarding the new material's performance will be tested. Preparations for the test begin.
车辆42吨，往下卸2吨。
A total of 38 heavy trucks, each carrying a 40-ton load, are ready to roll.
现在实测数据在7.5左右。
那个还有一个15米的梁呀。好。
Wind speed monitoring, position observation, cable force tests. Every change on the 4,134-metre bridge is being recorded and monitored down to the millimetre.
好，停。
加载时间是下午6点，然后正式加载是7点开始。
好。
Today, the Bridge Health Monitoring Centre goes into operation for the first time. During the bridge's anticipated 100-year lifespan, its every breath and heartbeat will be monitored here round the clock, all year round.
现场的能见度对我们的车的塔片对于它的这个读数的影响。
Acquiring the relevant data not only helps maintain the bridge, but also provides valuable information for future bridge construction projects. As night falls, the temperature tends to stabilize, creating a perfect window for carrying out the bearing capacity test.
南塔跟中塔可以看，
灯塔、中塔看，
北塔看不到。
那这仪器架在哪里的？
仪器架在那2个角，然后加桥面。那桥面咱现在这儿都看不到北塔了。
Sudden rain could cause problems for observing the test, but at the same time it christens the bridge as it enters operation.
大概还有多久
60分钟。放车 A1 到 A4，A1 到 A4 启动。走。
The 38 trucks move to the middle section of the bridge.
缓缓前停。好。
The total weight is 1,500 tons, equivalent to 1,000 cars passing through at the same time.
19225是吧？
In an extreme bearing capacity test like this, each new load puts more pressure on the bridge. This will cause it to bend downward and create tower deviation. Data measured on site needs to match the calculations to ensure the bridge passes the test. Only then can it be put into operation.
底板最大硬面133，顶板最大硬面-59。
我们分别在桥面板和钢结构上面都贴了硬面片，它的这个整个数据呢，我们就可以一目了然的可以看到。
The bearing capacity test is over. Massive volumes of data show that the bridge is safe. The new type of concrete material has also met design standards. The bridge has gone from vision to reality.
混凝土的这个协调受力的优势就完全发挥出来了，是吧？
力与美的完美结合。
对，
非常漂亮。
非常漂亮。
不光是这个南京五桥的建成啊，对整个世界其他桥贡献蛮大的。材料，它会对世界桥梁啊一个很大的贡献。
From this moment on, the bridge begins to fulfill its century-long mission. Nearly 200 bridges built over the Yangtze River in the better part of a century have led to the creation of a highly efficient transportation network in China, boosting economic ties between the country's south and north. The bridges over the great rivers are a crowning achievement in China's development. Glass, a material almost as old as human civilization itself, reflects the passage of time like a prism. Over the last 200 years, the use of glass in architecture has created more possibilities in bringing natural light into living spaces. The sunbird is the symbol of the 1,000-year-old city of Jiangxinzhou. It was unearthed as a 0.02mm thick artifact from 3,000 years ago, and it's now being showcased to the world at a major international sports event. The 40,000 capacity Dong'an Lake Sports Park will be the main venue for the 31st Summer Universiade. Its outline is gradually taking shape.
Xi盘就位，起钩，起钩。吊车注意控制起吊速度，控制玻璃，慢慢推。外面别顶了。好，没问题，准备焊接作业。
The stadium is in the shape of a giant flying saucer. Workers are now installing a 6-metre glass piece that will serve as the saucer's porthole. Atop the skylight of the stadium, workers will use 12,540 pieces of glass of various sizes to enlarge a tiny sunbird by 2.7 million times. The result will be the largest sunbird logo in the world and a spectacular sight from both below and above.
现在是到场的玻璃有1700片，1号平台下面现在是有360片玻璃，2号平台265片，3号平台现在是有278片玻璃，含了彩釉，满负荷如果顺利的话可以上到960块。
4号平台059到362上料。
The skylight is more than just a shelter from the weather for the spectators. It's also a stage for showcasing the host city's image. When completed, it will be the largest enameled glass skylight in the world. But putting in position nearly 10,000 pieces of glass quickly and precisely requires both nerve and ingenuity.
一个粉色站立，粉色在这里嘛，在这一条嘛，就这一条嘛，反过来放嘛，是吧？这两个是一样的吗？
这个人少了个角。
This is a challenging piece of construction as well as a game. The engineers are trying to find a more efficient approach with the help of a tailor-made puzzle.
这么一堆，我们现在分这几个东西呢，你就要分半天。那你不要到现场那么大的玻璃，你搬也搬不动。
Each piece of glass weighs 100 kilograms. There are a total of 12,540 pieces in 631 sizes, with differences of just millimeters. The builders must know them down to the last detail.
通过这个字母的话，基本上是拼不出来最后的那个结果的。拆之前就应该把那个编号写好，比如第一行的第一块就是1-1，第二块就是1-2。
The engineers need to find a more precise way to complete their mid-air puzzle.
CB003 就说 CB-1-003、CB-2-003或者 CB-3-0对，加个圈数嘛。拼色的应该是加个定位，再加个定位编号上去。CB 超白，这个地方它要加个信息上去。
Every letter and number has a special meaning. Through smart building technology like 3D modeling, every single piece of glass can be tracked.
10到11个流线一个区域。从这个大的部署来说，再按8个卸料平台，一共是8个扇形嘛。
Every piece of glass is precisely numbered, then put in a designated spot. Operations in all sections are carried out simultaneously, a method that's both efficient and error-free.
现在是今天在安装第7圈、8圈、第9圈和10圈已经在路上了，估计1个小时送到现场。
那马上通知16到20圈开始加工。
现在已经装到第14圈了，基本上已经装出来了。
12,540 pieces of enameled glass have now been installed. It took 35 days and was completed with a 99% precision rate. The Sunbird is finally airborne thanks to the labour and wisdom of the team. This sophisticated building technique will bring infinite possibilities for future construction projects.
胶打薄嘛哈，接口光滑哈，走匀称，别人下次再好接口。
Now comes the final test. Chengdu is a city of year-round humidity and constant rain. The 27,000 square metre skylight needs over 40,000 metres of glass cement. As well as guaranteeing the pattern's lighting and display, the roof must also be waterproof. Every single seam on this gigantic skylight will be tested.
给水，
给水，
加压，
加压。
A heavy rain simulator will pour water on the roof for 24 hours straight, and the water pressure is set to maximum.
计时加压，
加压，
压力正常，压力正常，注意观察。75轴到77轴淋水试验已经于15分钟，注意观察。
收到，部位确认。
The 24-hour water pouring test comes to an end. The roof did not let one drop of water through. After being blown up to 2.7 million times its original size, the Sunbird, a symbol of Chinese cultural heritage, comes to life again. More than 3,000 years on, a miracle is reborn. The same sky the Sunbird flies across is also witnessing other miracles. At the Nanjing Civic Centre, glass is being used to keep the city's 1,000-year-old poetic beauty alive. Construction is now at a critical point.
提高，提高，提高。
In order to give the structure a flowing quality, builders used almost every type of glass curtain wall currently available for this installation, which has no previous example to model itself on. Breakthroughs in modelling technology and construction techniques made it possible to finally realise this bold design that had been shelved for 7 years.
这个玻璃相当于是我们厂内最大的一块玻璃，6米7的高度，1米4的宽度。 现在这种玻璃就是我们项目上所使用的最小型的一种玻璃，两种玻璃的体积的差别可能达到80倍左右。
The builders will use a total of 8,255 pieces of glass to assemble the exterior, involving 7 systems, 25 designs, and 5,525 sizes of glass materials. The complexity of the installation is growing exponentially. Next, they will attempt something that has never been done before, making 180 tons of transparent glass float above an empty space inside the building. With a stayed structure, load-carrying points are created in the air. Glass is then attached to these points, creating the illusion that it's floating.
这就是我们最小的输锁，最少是16毫米。如果说我们横向用单锁的话，那估计至少得用38。我们现在只有22。
在视觉上，
对，
尽量在隐蔽这根锁。
If they are to achieve that transparent and flowing quality, the builders can't use thick cables with a simple structure. They must instead take 625 thin ones and weave them into a net as if using needle and thread, turning each intersection into a load-carrying point for the glass.
有一根虚拟的一根线就在这块，现在是把每一个点得靠到这个线上了，最终是靠咱们这个夹具这块对玻璃进行直接的接触。 然后夹具的定位准确与否，就决定玻璃能够顺利安装。
On this 3,200 square meter cable net, how each point is adjusted will affect the entire structure.
现在的最大的难度就是这个锁，我们现在是处于在一根平衡的网中，因为网是相当于牵一发动全身这种状态，后面的整体的变化量会成比例的传递到这个末端的前面的这个夹具这块来。
Horizontal and vertical cables mark where the fixtures will go. Then a fish-bellied cable net structure provides load-carrying support. Each point needs to be fixed to at least 3 different types of cable.
测那一个的时候，你要观察这一个是进了还是出了。
出了，刚刚出。
那你那边就要多出一点。度啊，模型上你能模拟出来这种吗？
你这个力。 跟我们模型的力是不一样的，
所以说我要根据这个每个距离、每个位置的模拟才行。
怎么可能？国内应该是没有类似的一种结构，所有的蓝点都汇聚在我们这个结构体系上。
The entire net contains 688 load-carrying points, allowing a margin of error of less than 5 millimeters. The engineers continue adjusting it to make sure it's accurate. After the structural stress is precisely calculated on the computer, can they determine the positions of the fixtures?
8个好了，左右不变，再来6个好。
Accurate positioning of the points requires man and machine to work together well. After 3,000 adjustments, the cable net is finally fully stretched. Next, the builders will run a tension test to see how each cable performs in the loading state.
你现在测几号锁啊？5号。50根拔
47。
The stress on every cable is within the calculated range. The net has achieved its balance. This means installation of the glass curtain wall can begin. "180 tons of glass will be installed piece by piece, according to the load carrying order."
对我个人整个职业生涯上来讲，是去干一件从没有干过的事。我们知道这个事肯定会成，但是中间要经历多少困难，在这一块是对我们比较大的一个挑战。
这种项目做完以后，再碰到更难的项目的话，就没有哪个项目做不了了，感觉就是一次升华吧。
These ultra-transparent laminated pieces of glass each weigh about 500 kilos. They will replace traditional exterior walls, and they'll be able to withstand all types of bad weather. Breakthroughs in materials and techniques like this will produce more energy-saving, efficient and smart buildings in the future. As the sun sets behind the Nanjing Civic Centre, its brilliance inspires new poetic creations for the city as it heads into the new millennium. Chongqing links the Three Gorges and the Jianghan Plain. A network of rivers and mountains come together to form a majestic view. Jiangxinzhou, from where thousands of boats sail, is about to receive a new sail. Here in Jiangxinzhou Square, 8 250-metre skyscrapers rise from the ground. The frame for this complex is a 100,000-tonne structure made of steel. This remarkable project raises the city's skyline to become its latest landmark. The next big challenge will be the finishing touch for the complex. At a height of 250 metres, builders will construct the world's largest horizontal tower. The builders will use 16 mega-sized hydraulic hoists to deliver the 3,000-ton steel structure to the skyscraper at a height of 250 meters in 3 batches.
那个油缸往下缩的时候会有一点震动，然后上提的时候是比较稳定的，是没有的。
The 1,000-ton steel structure rises slowly between the towers, just 60 centimeters away from the building at the narrowest point. If there's a collision, the consequences could be catastrophic.
注意观察，已经在提升了哈。
再动一下，你看一下，才走了150，走了150。现在风很小，那个小于1.5米。接下来几天天气呢？预报的也就是在3级以内。
Jiangxinzhou is located at the intersection of the Yangtze and Jiangling rivers. This means crosswinds between the towers will pose the biggest challenge to construction. The builders must complete the elevation during a brief window of calm weather. After 20 days and nights of intricate work, a 300-metre long crystal corridor made of 12,000 tons of steel is finally put in place. This horizontal skyscraper has a record-breaking length and height. It's an amazing achievement in the history of architecture. This is the world's largest horizontal skyscraper, covering an area the size of 8 standard swimming pools. This steel structure corridor stretches for 250 meters. It's like a mid-air ocean floor.
一等奖周永福的半岛之夜。我是一名土生土长的重庆摄影爱好者。我们重庆是一座拥有3000多年历史的文化名城。
People come here to enjoy the city skyline, which the corridor is now a part of.
作为一个国际都市的那么一个标志性建筑，应当说已经走出重庆了。
下游的话是一个大拐弯，有一座塔。现在的话，过来的时候，心里面还是要好久到家。当你从那个拐弯过来的时候，来福士一看，啊，到家了。
在这个上面，工人操作非常难度非常大，就完全悬空的。
Rivers and mountains are reflected in the glass curtain walls of the city's high-rise towers. New memories are made, and new stories are written along with this astonishing piece of modern architecture. The city grows day and night. The same builders now go from the project at the tip of the peninsula to another landmark in this cosmopolis.
着地，右转大臂，慢转大臂，转慢点啊！来下钩了，下钩，黄师傅。着体。
The International Trade and Commerce Centre is the highest building in Chongqing currently under construction. It has a height of 458 metres and is supported by a 70,000-tonne steel structure.
这架支撑多少
？3.46米。45。
198。啊，这个点是180、198、192。
Nearly 40,000 custom-made steel components of different shapes and sizes serve as the bones for the city's growth. Super high-rise buildings are considered an important indicator of a country's technological level and comprehensive strength. They are also the yardstick against which its steel structure techniques are measured.
2号塔斯起钩，左转，慢慢的转啊。
Each of these lifted components weighs about 40 tons and will be assembled into 18 433-metre columns, the pillars and beams of modern architecture. They are the backbone of the building, and they'll bear the load of the entire structure. 18 steel bones grow upwards piece by piece. But as the height increases, so does the difficulty. the builders must keep the deviation of docking to under 5 millimeters to prevent accumulated errors in subsequent procedures.
好，师傅再放一下棱镜来，放一下棱镜。
再照一下，再走一遍。
好，向北2公分。
向北2公分，向东1公分。
这里加块板，这里加块板，然后牵引顶放在这个位置，然后这样顶这个就过来了嘛，对不对？这是微调的一个过程。
With docking completed, the welding begins. Today, seam welding is the dominant welding technique used for steel structure buildings. Welding in mid-air has strict requirements. The welders must work without pause. This is because interruptions could result in impurities in the seam that would compromise the final quality.
高度越来越高，上面的风也大，我们外框做的焊接啊，有些区域比较容易出现气泡和夹渣。
从而形成一个小焊接棚子那样的，来保证这个焊接区域的这个气能够不受影响。
40,000 steel frames require a massive amount of work. In a cross-section area of less than 3 square meters, workers must complete 30,000 meters of butt welds, equivalent to the height of about 4 Mount Chumu Langmas. It seems that they're mountaineers as much as they are builders.
整个楼靠着我们这个18吨的巨型钢管柱来支撑我们这个400多米的楼，每一条焊缝都是至关重要的。
数据是3个毫米，基本上这个焊缝程序还是可以的。
The 458-meter skyscraper grows 1 story taller each week, breaking the city record along the way. Mankind has been using steel structures and buildings for centuries, reshaping the world as we know it. Steel is strong enough to support high-rise towers and long-span bridges. But more importantly, they lay a solid foundation for a country's industry.
你在焊这条边的时候，其实这里的话还是处于一个自由端。现在来看的话，那就是按照1、2、3、4、5、6的顺序来焊。
A new batch of steel components is being developed and produced, promising new growth for the city. Steel is the very foundation of industry. Over the past few decades, China has gone from suffering steel shortages to having world-leading industrial production capacity. Made in China, created in China, built by China. The nation is being continuously reshaped. This is a city of the future in the making. China continues its efforts to climb to new heights and challenge the impossible. Xiong'an is the starting point of a millennium-long master plan, and it's witness to the dawn of a new age. The largest high-speed train station in Asia, equivalent to the size of 66 soccer fields, is about to open for operation. An unprecedented journey has begun.
整个这个基本站台的箱悬梁的马板全部把它做掉，所有肉眼可见的位置全部都处理掉，一共1200块，4天之内全部都打磨完，把我们钢结构干成精工修了都。
Turning the rough texture of steel materials into something smooth enough for display and getting rid of all external decoration presents a new challenge. The use of cutting-edge steel material technology is a path to the future. Every revolution in wide-spanning architecture is made possible by choosing the right material for the space. At Xiong'an Railway Station, a 78-metre span is achieved by using 400 steel beams. In the waiting hall, which covers an area of more than 20,000 square metres, not one column is used. The entire load is supported by pillars scattered around the platform. This keeps the amount of steel used to a minimum and makes maximum use of space. This is where the Beijing to Xiong'an, Tianjin to Xiong'an and Shijiazhuang to Xiong'an arteries merge. In the future, this station will serve as a central junction of 16 routes going in all directions on China's massive high-speed rail network.
挺漂亮，挺好看。现在呢，在远处一看，就心里边非常高兴，没白辛苦。
Massive building projects are scattered throughout the history of Chinese civilization. And in Xiong'an, a new epic for the next millennium is taking shape.
我自己也是雄安人，我做了一件特别有意义的事，我的家乡以后变得越来越好，也希望后边我继续为祖国的千年大计贡献一份力量。
看到美好未来在多好啊！
It is love for the country that is putting Xiong'an on the path to a bright future. Throughout history, the Chinese people have always been striving to make it to new destinations. This time, they're on a ride to the next millennium. First stop, Xiong'an.
Pinza 起天。